This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. Today's video is a nifty needle storage system called a soft book. I've been hand stitching that hexagon quilt, and I've been hand quilting a quilt, and then in between time was making masks to send for family and friends. And one day I sat there and I said, okay, I'm tired of these big projects. I just want something small to do. I said, what would something be that would help me? And I just looked around and I said, something to put my needles in. Something simple, something that I could easily find. When I'm quilting on the machine, I like to knot the ends of the tails that are hanging out of the thread and then knot them and slide those back into the sandwich. When I'm hand stitching, I've got a special needle that I use all the time, and that's the one I want to use. But what happens is, no matter how careful I am, the needles disappear into the pincushion. I don't know if you've ever had that, or I end up with so many needles in the pincushion I have to pull them out and look at them to see which one I want. And so I thought this was my idea of a way to help myself get organized. And I did one to go by my sewing machine, and I said I'm going to make another one to go by my sewing basket. And it just started out very simply. Piece of fabric folded with batting in it, stitched in the center to stabilize it, and used bought binding because that's what I had, and that was a lot of fun. And I said, well, I need one more, so let me see what I come up this time. Same thing, there's some of those yo-yos, they're always running around. And this time I said, I think I might like to put a pocket in it on the side, and I'd like to put a closure, and I had a lot of snaps, so I said I'll put a snap in it. And then I have the pocket, and I just put that there because I just got it. The other thing I thought about, if you're worried about rust or anything, if you have any of those silica gel packets that come in shoes or in a new bag, that might be a good thing if you don't have children and dogs that will eat them. So this is what happened when I started to make my soft books. I started with a 10.5 by 11-inch piece, and the 11-inch part was going to be the one that was folded. So, and if you notice, I used a dark color. That was an accident, and I loved it, because when I started it, if you look back at the booklet, you'll see that, look how my needles show up. Now I do run them through there twice so that they'll hold in place, and that's really worked well. So here's the first part, and I ironed it in half, and then I turned it hamburger way and ironed it so I'd have nice crease right there. Alright, then the next thing that you need would be I use batting in the middle. You may not want any, but I thought it made it feel really nice. Now, if you're going to do this like a booklet later and you want another page in your booklet, and I'm going to show you that, you'll need to cut 2 of the big pieces and 2 of the batting, one for each set of pages. And then if you want to do a pocket, if you're using those dimensions, then a good size for the pocket is a 4x5, and just seam up the sides and turn it right side out, clip the edges, and then lay it with a raw edge to the bottom of your booklet. Because if you'll see, this is the way I'm going to work with it, because what I wanted to do, instead of doing anything fancy like a pillow or anything, I just wanted to take and put bias all the way around the outside edge. And the bias could be the bought kind. The double fold works pretty good, or go back to some of that binding that you've got left over from quilts. Alright, in here at the sewing machine, this is going to be the inserted piece. I've already done it and put it together, and then I actually just did a little cross stitch in there to an X so that it sort of stay in place, and it's folded well. I just bound it with black because I'm not going to be worrying about finding that part, so I'm just set that to the side for the minute. Okay, here's the one I'm working on. I'm sticking with the black because I like that a lot, and I've already put a pocket in there, and I just laid it on there and stitched through both sides so it's nice and stable. And the next part I was going to do is come over here and use my binding just to show you that I'm just using it just like a regular quilt binding, and I'm folding my corner up. This is a good review for you if you haven't done this in a while. And then I'm going to stitch for a minute. And all of these are raw edges that I'm stitching right now till I get to the next corner. And slow down. And go a little bit farther. Okay. Now if you remember, you can run it off. First time I saw that, I thought that was really neat because I had always been doing it with a fold, but I had never run off the corner, and it sort of stabilizes it pretty good. Then I'm going to go up. Now I know that when I go up, this is going to be the end, so I need to cut that off and fold that piece up. You can see this goes really quickly, and it's such a neat thing to have because I have used them now and used them. And then I'm ready to go again. And then unless you're doing this as a gift for a sewing friend, you can do it the way you like. Now I put that on the inside because I'm going to come and do the finishing on the outside. And I've got that black thread going, so that should look pretty good. If you're going to go down, I got stuck. Got it in place. And this was a 2.5 inch binding. And you can see I've got plenty of material to come, and I fixed my corner. Run down there. And go the other way. Did it again. Oh, there it goes. Get it all tucked in and keep going. Then I'm ready to fold again. I fold this side in, and this one comes back over the top. If you've never used that for your binding on your quilts, you're in for a treat because that really works well. And this one is going to have a page inside, so I want you to see that I've made a tab that I'm going to use. I'm going to put a snap on it. I know that sounds like a... Now I've got it ready, so I'm going to pull back out my other page, and I've got it centered. I've got it center, and that's the center. I'm going to put it right in there. You might want to come and do 2 rows of stitching right next to each other, and I'll go straight down. And I'm going to do it. I think I'll do another one because see how that works. I have been thinking about that. Alright, I'll get those off later. And then I'm going to fold it. And here's my tab. I'm going to take and put a snap on it. Now you can see I left my tab kind of long because I thought if I start putting something in my pocket or things are in here, whatever I want to use this for, then I might want it to be a little wider in case it gets fuller, and then I can move my snap. So there you have my Nifty Needle Savers soft books. different varieties, and I'm sure that you can come up with a lot of great ideas of ways to change this, making it bigger. I don't think you'd want to make it much smaller. This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this, please hit subscribe and also like.